What's up, guys? I'm Chris, and today you're watching a magic review on Frankenstein by Kaleb Wade. Welcome to the channel, and thanks for tuning in. Please consider subscribing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment on any questions that you have about the product I'm reviewing or anything you'd like to see in the future. Let me know your thoughts. Also, don't forget to click that notification bell so you don't miss a video or a review. Don't forget to head over to Facebook and join the Chris Edwards Magic Secret Access group. That is a group that I have kind of based around this channel where I can interact with you guys on a more personal level. And I'm also going to be providing you with a more in-depth look on certain products such as Peak Wallets and other releases that I don't want to go into full detail to the public. So it's more hidden than what a layperson would be able to see. There'll be unlisted videos where I will post direct links within the group. So those unlisted videos can't be searched via anything, whether it's not visible on my channel for one to the public, and two, you won't be able to search those videos through the YouTube search engine or like Google or anything like that. So check that out, and in there I can answer questions in a lot more detail than I will on here. Simply put, Frankenstein is probably your new favorite book test. No rock has been left unturned when it comes to the thought and the production that has went into this book test. In here, there are multiple methods to achieve exactly what you want, which is the divination of a word. Not only are there multiple methods and handlings, this was designed to be used in any situation, any environment, from stage, but more specifically for close-up and walk-around mentalism. So what do you get? You're going to get your book test as well as your tutorial. Now, the tutorial is actually almost unheard of in today's day and age, where we're used to instant downloads. Rarely do we get a DVD, but with this you get another written book. So inside, Kaleb goes over so much. He talks about the methods, the handlings, and he's also released a free PDF that came out after the book was released that allows you to do a completely hands-off version of the book test. You'll get a link to the PDF when you purchase the book that can be viewed separately as it's not in the book. So the tutorial booklet is 54 pages long. Like I mentioned, Kaleb's going to go over the methods. He's going to talk about different handlings, as well as you get 4 or 5 different routines that Kaleb uses in his working sets. So some of you will be familiar with the methods. However, most book tests either use one or the other, whereas this one, it combines multiple methods so that you have the option of performing this however it feels most comfortable for you. One of the principles or methods can be found in books like the Zanman book tests. However, with this, there is a unique spin on that specific principle, and that is credited to Barry Fazzackerly, or Baz, from Black Cat Magic. So even though that method is seen in multiple book tests, this unique spin on things makes it so that this book entirely from cover to cover can be completely examined by your participant. They could sit down and look at this thing forever, and they're not gonna find anything that seems suspicious or strange. It looks entirely like a normal book. And Kaleb's also went into saying how the majority of this book is the original story. When it comes to the routines included, the great thing about them is that there are multiple phases. Each get increasingly more challenging for you as the performer. The impossibilities become, well, more impossible. And then now with the new release of Frankie Reborn, which is the hands-off handling, that can be your climax to where it seems absolutely impossible that you could divine the word that they've thought of. Kaleb wanted to design and release a book test that could be examined from cover to cover without worrying about your participants coming across anything strange or even slightly obvious to tip any kind of method, and he has definitely achieved this. So much thought has went into this book. I think he said he's been working on it for half a decade or something, and this is the final product. There's also a bookmark that you can purchase for a very small charge that has multiple revelations on here and can even be used as a partial crib. The quality of the book is absolutely phenomenal. This book has been thought out all the way through, even down to, the sticker that they placed on here to look like this came from a thrift store or a used bookstore, the 3-for-2 mix and match. The book is 181 pages, which comes down to just under 50,000 words, and you can use that as part of your presentation to show the impossibility of actually divining a word that is simply thought of. The difficulty level on this varies depending on which method you want to use and what handling you want to use. So if you're using the one method, you riffle through the book, have them say stop, you stop wherever they say. It's completely fair. You get them to think of the first word on the page. You're able to divine that. The other method, you will have to memorize some words. So if any of you are familiar with Steve Dala's All About Eve, it's similar to that. So there are a number of words that you'll need to know, but it's definitely worth it because that is how you can also achieve the hands-off presentation of the book test, where you don't have to riffle through, you don't have to stop, you can simply give them the book and they do the work for you. I should also mention that in the memory work for the other method or principle that you can use with this book, the memory work is not complicated, as the words all have similarities, not noticeable to a layperson or your participant, but to you. As far as the memory process goes, it's going to make it easier to memorize those words. And with that, you will get a number of hits without any questions or knowing what the word is. So with that said, the memory work is worth it and it's not overly hard to achieve. Because this is a public channel, I don't want to name the principles or methods simply because exposure, right? But if you watch the trailer for this, you can get more information on that. It'll give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. However, I have mentioned a couple other book tests, so if you are familiar with those, and you likely are if you've performed any type of book test, then you probably have an understanding of what I'm talking about. Angles, setup and reset, arts and crafts. There is no setup, there is no reset. Angles, you can be performed surrounded. There's nothing that can't be seen with this. It's entirely ready to go. As soon as you get it, you're just obviously going to want to take your time to read the tutorial, get familiar with the words if you want to use the other handling. Can this be examined? That's the beauty of this. This can be examined. This can be thoroughly examined. They can go through, look at any page. Every single page is different. They can literally read through a page and everything makes sense. There's no words in there that all of a sudden stick out because they seem out of place or they don't make sense on the page. So much thought has gone into this to where everything makes sense. They can sit here and look at this probably all day if you give them the opportunity. And it's very unlikely that they are going to think this is anything other than a normal book that you picked up from a thrift shop. Pocket space on this, it isn't overly big. It can likely fit in a back pocket, or if you're wearing a jacket, breast coat pocket. Likely you're going to carry this in a messenger bag of some sort if you're going about your day, but if you're at a working gig, you can carry this in a pocket. Is it a worker, and who would use this? Mentalists, people who perform mentalism. It's 100% a worker, whether you're doing close-up or strolling, which was kind of how this was designed to be used, but as well it's going to work on stage, right? That's with mentalism, it really doesn't make a huge difference whether you're close-up or stage. It's about presentation, and as long as you're able to present what's going on to the audience, big or small, it plays out the same, right? Kaleb's designed this so that it can be done close-up and in a setting where it's going to be handled, it's going to be examined, it's all been thought out. Is it worth the money? So this is £70, which I think converts to approximately $85 US. So this is actually cheaper than a fair amount of book tests on the market. It's a little bit more than some, but I think it is definitely worth the money. Hands down, if you take the time to learn everything that you can about this book and you get the full potential out of it, then this book's going to pay for itself. You will never need to use another book test. Positives and negatives. So the positives, there's a ton of them, right? Multiple methods, multiple handlings, and then the new feature being able to perform this hands off, where you give them the book, you don't touch anything, and you're able to divine the word that they are merely thinking of. On top of that, just the amount of thought and time that's went into creating this book so that it is unique and it can be thoroughly examined without anyone ever finding anything that kind of tips any sort of methods. And in all honesty, even somebody who has probably a dozen book tests, if I were to just open this up and look at it as I would other book tests, knowing a few different principles, I probably wouldn't have found them. So the unique spin on the one principle that you'll find in here that most of you who perform book tests will likely be familiar with, the spin on that has made it so that, even mentalists and magicians probably wouldn't understand it until actually reading the tutorial and learning the method. I could go on and on with positives, but I'd probably just be repeating myself. You're going to find a lot more positives in this when you pick it up, and I do recommend picking it up. I strongly recommend picking it up. If any of you are familiar with Kaleb's other book test, The Alchemist, which is no longer in print or available, this follows a lot of the same principles, but has been updated and improved. So if you were a fan of that, which I know that is a well-known and highly praised book test in the mentalism community, then you're going to absolutely love Frankenstein. Negatives? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's not one of those book tests where there's a ton of memory work. There is, but that's if you want to use that method. And if you don't, if you just want to use the very simple handling, there is nothing to memorize. Once you understand the spin on the principle, then you can go out and perform this immediately. Some people may look at the $85 price tag and think that that's a lot for a book test, but it's not. There's other book tests out there that are double and triple the price. In comparison, I think that this is my favorite book test by far, and I have a lot, and I do like other book tests, right? I'm not saying that other book tests are bad now that this one's come out. I just think that so much time has went into this, and it shows. So you can pick this up either from Kaleb directly through his website or from blackcatmagic.co.uk. I will leave links in the description below. And again, thank you, Kaleb, for releasing this. This is absolute gold. And with that, I think I've covered everything that I can. If you perform book tests, if you're a mentalist, or if you're getting into mentalism, or if you want to get a book test, get this. You will not be disappointed. You have my word. So with that, we will see you at the next review.